Aloha ukulele and guitar classes. Today is lesson 12, and this is part 2 of our music literacy series. And today we're going to talk about counting and diagramming 16th note rhythms and also about online resources. Okay, so music literacy, what is that? Well, it's having the ability to find a music chart, whether it be a simple chord chart where you use maybe one of the strum patterns that you know to navigate that, or a tabbed out chart for tablature for guitar or ukulele, or reading the notes. So, um, as far as the course material goes, we learn how to read tabs pretty well. Tabs is a good way to be able to play something that's fairly complex without having to read all of the notes, which is doable, but it just takes longer. So if you keep going with your note reading practice, after the course is finished, then you can get pretty good at reading the notes as well. But it all depends on kind of what you want to do and what kinds of songs that you want to learn. But in any case, it's good to not limit yourself and to be able to deal with different kinds of music, because you never know what you'll be doing in the future, where your interests will lie. Um, finding music, being able to read it, being able to learn the song and do what you want with it. That's what this is all about. So, and usually, the hardest thing about that normally prevents people from just being able to do it all on their own is the rhythms. So we're going to talk about those, and this is also a kind of a preparation for your exam 2, which is coming up, and let's talk about that first. So exam study guide will be posted. Okay, and this is the one for guitar, and there's another one for ukulele. They're pretty similar. um, be able to do what you did on exam 1 with the chord diagramming and identifying chord diagrams, and uh, so basically the same thing. And you can practice, you know, drawing the chord symbol on the blank chord diagram paper, and then also identifying what chord. It's just that there's a lot more of them this time. This is the one for ukulele. And yes, we have more chords that could possibly be on the exam that you have to identify by either matching the chord symbol to the chord diagram or drawing the chord diagram based on the chord symbol. Okay, be able to diagram the rhythms. So same thing that we did on exam 1, except this time it's going to be 16th note type rhythms instead of 8th note type rhythms. Um, and we're going to talk about how to do that today. Okay, be able to write the tab for scales and modes, or scales and movable open position and movable scales, or scales and modes, and be able to identify notes on the treble clef using Every Good Boy Does Fine and FACE, the word face, and be able to identify form direction symbols such as repeat signs and endings, and form directions such as DS al coda and DC al fine, and the different parts of the song, like the intro, verse, chorus, and bridge. Okay, so that's the study guide. So pretty straightforward. Now there's no mystery. It's going to be just like what we did with exam 1, except now we know a few more chords and a few more scales, and we're doing 16th note rhythms instead of 8th note rhythms. Okay? And then after you watch this video, you'll complete your exam 2 study guide assignment, which is this one where you have to diagram the following rhythms and submit them. And they may be like this, or probably, actually I'll probably change these to just make them a little bit different. But you will have to write the counting underneath, and then the strum direction symbols above. Okay, and we'll go over how to do some of those things right now. Okay, so first let's talk about the 16th notes. Okay, so when we first did this in lesson 7, we talked about the 8th notes, which we can take a look at that real quick just to review. Okay, that one was like this, and all we needed was 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that's when we're in the 4/4 time signature. If we're in the 3/4 time signature, we only can count to 3. No 4s on that. If you put 1, 2, 3, 4 and it's there's only 3 beats in the measure, then that's wrong. So 1 and 2 and 3 and for 3/4 measures, and for 4/4 measures it has to add up to 4. Okay, so, and the very simple rule for that was when it's a down, when it's a 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's a down, and then when it's on the and, it's an up. And that very simple rule helps to keep everything very organized. Okay, so that's 8th notes. 16th notes is very similar, except instead of doing ups on the ands, we do downs on the ands in this case. So for 16th notes, we have down on 1, 2, 3, or 4, but also on and. Okay, and then we have e's and uhs, and on if it's an e or an then it's an up. Okay, so when we have 16th notes, which are 4 per beat, so if you look at the rhythm chart, you go down to here, 16th notes, you'll see they're kind of like the 8th notes, where when they're by themselves they have a flag, and when they're together in groups they get beam together, except the 8th notes just get a single beam or a single flag, and the 16th notes get a double beam or a double flag, like so. And a 16th note is 1/4 of a beat, or you can think of that as 4 per beat. Okay, and then when we have 16th notes, we can also include this rhythm, the dotted 8th note, and a dotted 8th note is 3/4 of a beat, so it's equal to 3 16th notes. So an 8th note is equal to 2 16th notes, and a dotted 8th note is equal to 3 16th notes. Okay, dotted rhythms, adding a dot to a note or rest adds half the value to the duration. So if we have an 8th note, half of an 8th note is a 16th note. So it's an 8th note plus a 16th note, which is equal to 3/4 of one beat. Okay, so that's all detailed on the rhythm chart if you forget. Um, and then these are sort of the main combinations of 16th notes that you'll see. And you can have four of these in one measure because each one of these is showing one beat and how the 16th notes and the eighth notes could be arranged in the beat. So down on ones, twos, threes, or fours, and down also on and this time. Okay, and up for the E's and the U's. All right, so we could have 4/16 notes, and each one of those gets 1 unit of this time that we're counting. So, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and you just have them on every single unit of counting. Okay, so and each one of these units represents 1/4 of a beat or 1/16 note. Okay, then this shows where we have an eighth note followed by 2/16 notes. Okay, and that is 1 E and because the eighth note is equal to 2/16 notes or 2 units of counting. Okay, 1 E and then it's like we've replaced the second 16th note with just one note that's equal to both of these. Okay, and then there's the other way around where you have the 2/16 notes followed by the eighth note. Okay, and that's another thing is that the eighth notes can be beamed to the 16th notes as well, and so you'll see the single beam for this eighth note, and then you'll see the double beam for this pair of 16th notes here. Okay, and then the other way around, the 16th notes come first, 1 E and like that. So eighth note is still getting 2/16 notes worth of counting, and the 16th notes, of course, are just 1 unit for each one. 1 E and Okay, so these are all based on fairly simple principles. So when you're doing your exam, just to try not to overthink it, and just try to think about these simple things. Okay, but you do have to do some preparation for that. All right, and this is very, very useful, and it relates directly to your ability to learn a song on your own, or if you can do this, then it's very likely that you could learn a song that you want to learn on your own. And if you can't do this, if the song has some degree of difficulty, it's likely that you will not be able to do that. So this relates directly to the music literacy, uh, and also like lots of other things. Okay, um, like learning the scales and the chords and all of these things combined together to help you to learn the song, not only proficiently but quickly, because we don't want it to take several months to learn a song. We'd like to learn the song, after a few days, or if it's fairly difficult, maybe a few weeks. Okay. Here's an example where the eighth note is in between the 16th note. So you have a 16th note here, a 16th note here, and an eighth note here in the middle. So you get 1 E and so the eighth note is still getting 2/16 notes worth of counting. This one comes on 1, this one comes on 1 E and Here's the dotted eighth note. That gets 3/4 of the beat. Okay, or 3/16 notes worth of counting. 1 E and Okay, so the last 16th note on each beat is always going to be on just like here, 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 and here. And then you can flip that around. You can put the 16th note in front of the 8th note, and it's 1 E and So the dotted 8th note gets 3/16 notes worth of counting, and the 16th note just gets 1/16 note worth of counting. Make sense? Okay. That's why, you have this guide to counting, and then you have your rhythm chart where it details the beat values, and then it's just a simple matter. If you can count to 4, then you can do this. All right. So we have some examples here. All right, and maybe we should look at some other examples. So here's some examples of some 16th note rhythms that you'll see. Here's a Led Zeppelin song. This is kind of a riff here, and over here it's got some strumming. So here's examples of different combinations of the 16th notes, and you'll see lots of these. Like here we have the dotted 8th note followed by the 16th note, which is just like what we just did here. 2/8 notes, very simple. Here's one where the 8th note is sandwiched in between the two 16th notes. Okay, and I can tell you this is a very cool strum pattern. When you listen to this, it's pretty awesome. Over the Hills and Far Away by Led Zeppelin. It has some fairly complicated strum patterns, and then of course you have ones where you have 4/16 notes beamed together like so. Okay, here's one that's a little simpler. This is like the Brada is playing Over the Rainbow, which is what everybody wants to learn on the ukulele. And this is something, if you're in the ukulele class, we'll be learning soon. So this is a good lesson to do at this time, because we start doing some more complicated rhythms towards the end of the semester. And this one is actually pretty simple, because if you look down here at this one, what we have is just constant 16th notes. Okay, so this is really simple. All you do is count this 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and it's just down up 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 down up, and you'll notice you can fit 16 of those notes in a measure of 4/4 or common time, and that's why they call it a 16th note. And then up here you have a slightly different variation of the rhythm, okay? But all it is it starts with an 8th note and then followed by constant 16th notes. So here, if you look at your chart, that's this one where it's a 1 E and a. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So those are pretty simple to count, but when you see this, you have to know how to interpret it. And really, this is a lot like the rhythm relationships that we've learned in the more basic songs that we learned first, that just have quarter notes and eighth notes. And the relationship there is that the eighth note is half the value of the quarter note. The half note is twice as long as the quarter note. And then the dotted rhythms, it adds half the value to the note. We've seen dotted half notes, dotted quarter notes. And this is no different because the relationship here again is that the 16th note is worth half the value of the 8th note. So the 16th note's relationship to the 8th note is just like the 8th note's relationship to the quarter note. So a lot of these rhythms sound the same as the 8th note rhythms. It's just that you can fit a lot more of these notes into one measure rather than having it take up two measures, okay, to play the same rhythm. So that's just an example of that. And then down here, what you have is different combinations of the rhythms, okay, and the quarter note takes up the entire beat, so 1 E and 2. Okay, here we have the dotted 8th note followed by the 16th note. So 2 E and okay, because in these measures of 4/4, okay, you can have it needs to add up to 4 beats again. Okay, so 1 E and 2 E and then we have this one with the 2/16 notes followed by the 8th note. Okay, 3 E and because that's the third beat here, and then the 8th note preceding the 2/16 notes, this one. Okay, so we write the same thing except it's in this case it's 4 E and 4 E and okay, so each 16th note gets only one unit of counting, each 8th note gets 2 units of counting, the dotted 8th note gets 3 units of counting, and the quarter note gets 4 units of counting, and those relationships are all detailed on your rhythm chart. This is equal to 1 beat, this is equal to 3/4 of a beat, this is 1/4 of a beat, this is half a beat. Okay, so and then we have some more combinations. Okay, so uh, the 8th note preceding the 16th notes, 1 E and then the 8th note in between the 2/16ths, 2 E and because again you have to put only 1 unit for the 16th notes, and then in between you have 2 units of counting for the 8th note. Okay, here's the 2/16 notes preceding the 8th note, 3 E and then 4/16 notes, all one after another, 4 E and if you have all 16th notes as we saw in Over the Rainbow, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and okay, now this is how you want to see the rhythm. And the second half of the lesson today is we're going to talk about the online resources. And when you go online to look for songs and tabs and music charts, the thing that you'll find, well, there's a lot of amateur charts that you'll find, sort of like we have social media for musicians as well, where people transcribe their own arrangements of the songs, write down the music, and then post them to different sites. And the thing that you see people doing wrong the most is writing these rhythms, okay? Unfortunately. And whenever I download one of these charts, usually I have to make some corrections to how the rhythms are written. This is what you want to see, where this is called the beat grouping. So each beat, the notes are beamed together to group them together based on the beat. And this is especially important when we're doing 16th notes, because it's important to be able to see very clearly where beat 1, 2, 3, 4, beat 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can make that more complicated to play again by tying some of the notes together. Okay, again, let me remind you, you cannot write a strum direction symbol over a note that's being held over like this with a tied note. So that would make the example wrong. So no strum direction symbol here, no strum direction symbol here, no strum direction symbol here. That's something that every single exam that we do, even though we have this study guide assignment to help us prepare, I see that on every exam. And the reason for that is because the students don't understand quite exactly what this tied note means, right? Or what the strum direction symbol means is that we're playing a note, right? And we're playing the note either with a down or an up. And the tied note is not played, so if you put a strum direction symbol there, it's wrong because there's nothing being played there. Like the note is played here and then held over. It's played here and then held over. Okay, so you have to be careful with that when you're writing down the strum direction symbols. And again, the strum direction symbols are the easiest part because if it's a 1 or an and, then it's a down. And if it's on an E or an then they're ups. Okay, just like it says. The rules for counting and strumming, diagramming the rhythms. And this is an extremely useful skill because you can look at songs like these. Like here's a ukulele, another ukulele example. This is Jake Shimabukuro, and shows some other combinations here of the 16th note patterns. Okay, so again, you'll see the 4/16 notes beam together, the 2/16 notes preceding the 8th note. Okay, so this is a fairly simple measure. There's nothing tied. Okay, this looks like a tie, but it's a hammer-on. This is a like this is a different style of notation where they put the tabs and the rhythms together on the tab staff. Sometimes this is good, sometimes it's not so great. But this one goes 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Okay, so I can play that for you. Okay, so it goes 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So I'll play that one more time. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. I'll try again. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Okay, or up here we have the 8th note preceding the 2/16 notes 3 times, and then the 4/16 notes. That one goes 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. This is a good one. This is one of the possible recital songs. Great song. Jake Shimabukuro, Ichigo Ichie. Okay. And let's see. This one I can do the strum pattern, but on the ukulele. I don't have my guitar out right now. This one goes 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay. And this note is the tied note, so and this is tied. So you don't play this one or this one. Okay. So I'll do it slow and then fast. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay, so knowing how to do this is quite a great skill to have. Okay, here's another example. This is John Mayer, Neon. This is another one that has a lot of 16th note rhythms. These are fairly simple, except it's the thing that makes this so complicated is the tapping, the X's. And then when you get down to here, you get down to like the main melody. Okay. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So these are almost constant 16th notes, except there's a 16th note rest, and that's just a 16th note equivalent of silence. So you just have to whatever you're doing there, you mute. So a note cannot ring over that. So like the ringing stops at that point when you have a rest. Okay, so those are some good examples of 16th note rhythms, and those are all like pretty cool songs. And that's what we want to do when we're learning music, is we want to play the cool songs that sound awesome. And being able to do this helps you to accomplish that, or at least begins the process of going down that path to that hopefully will end with you being literate musically and being able to do what you want to do with music, which is what this is all about. Okay. So you have a assignment that you can do where you will diagram the counting and the strum directions, and then email it to me, and I will correct that and send it back. And that's your chance to kind of check to see if you're doing this right, and it gives you that chance to make all those mistakes that you need to make before you do it for a significant portion of your grade on an exam. Okay, let's diagram a couple of rhythms here. All right, let's do some 16th notes. So I'll just do some random ones. Let's start with eighths. Okay, let's see, 2/8 notes, and then we'll do 4/16. Okay, and then how about 2/16 followed by an eighth, and an eighth followed by 2/16. Okay, that's a fairly good amount of variation there. Let's do a 16th. Hello, delete. Okay, and we'll tie this one over. Hello. Oh, I tie it from here. Okay, no. Oh, because it's not the same note. Is that what it's telling me? Okay, now I can tie it. Okay, 2/16, an eighth. We'll just try to get all the variations in here. 16th, eighth. We'll tie that over. Eighth, and then a quarter note. Okay, so that's a good rhythm right there. Let's export. Rhythm example. Export. And let's open this up into Photoshop. Rhythm example. Here we go. Oh, this is how we do it. All right. All right. Zoom in here. Let's see. Give ourselves some space. All right. So let's write the counting first. Okay. We just want to make sure that that is directly under the note. Okay. Let's see. All right. 1 E and because what we've got here, let me make this a little smaller. What we've got here is 2/8 notes, so they're each equal to 2/16 notes of counting. So the first one is 1 E and the second one is and All right, makes sense. And then this thing, I can close it. And what I want is to open another file and put my guide to counting 8th notes or 16th notes onto there. And that looks good. And I'm just going to copy this. Let's see, layer, merge, Control C, and Control V. That way, I now have my symbols here that I need to finish diagramming. Okay, all right, let's continue. Okay, so if you need to look back at the study guide, right, this shows you how to do the counting, all right? But all you really have to remember is what the beat values are for each rhythm symbol. Okay, this one's easy. Sorry, not 1, but 2. Okay, because there's 4 beats. This is 4/4. If it was 3, we would only have 3 beats in the measure. Okay, 1 unit of counting for each note because they're all 16th notes. Same thing here. 3 E and all right. Now make sure that when you do this, you write the count directly under the note, right? Okay. If you're doing it with pencil, make sure it's neat. If you're doing it digitally, make sure it looks very neat like this, okay? The problem is like when I get something and it looks like this, right? It's like, here's the note, okay? And then, did they mean for this to be on or did they mean for it to be on and? Well, I don't know, so X, it's wrong, okay? So I have to see that you understand that this falls directly on that part of the count, okay? And then for E and okay, and then just clean it up. Make sure that they're falling like directly under the note. Okay, there's no doubt. 1 E and okay. Make sure the spacing is good. 2. All right. Now you'll notice we started over the count. Why? Because there's a measure line here. So once you count to 4, then you see the measure line, the next count will be 1. That's really what that measure line means, is that we start the count again at 1. 2, E, and 3, E, and okay, space it. That's better spacing. And then 4, E, and because it's a quarter note and it takes up the whole measure. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Like I said, these things are all based on simple principles at the core. Okay, we have the beat divided into 4 parts. Each part of that count represents 1/16th note. So each 16th note gets 1 of those. Each 8th note gets 2 of them. Each dotted 8th note gets 3 16th notes worth of counting. And the quarter note gets the entire beat, 4 units of counting. Okay? So now that we've done that, here comes the easy part, which is to do the strum direction symbols. Okay, so let's do the downs first. Alright, just because that's just kind of how. So every number and okay, so the 1, the and, the 2, the and, they're all down. 3, here's another and, okay, 4, here's another and, okay, do I put one here? No, because it's tied, you see, so if I do that, I'm sorry, but I have to mark it incorrect. And so this entire example, since it's it's connected with the tie, and the entire thing would be wrong. Okay, so I move that over to and 2. There's nothing on and here. I can't do this on 3 because there's another tied note, so don't put a strum direction there. Okay, this goes to whether you understand what's written there on the chart or not. Okay, and then once you do that, you do everything, you can finally check it one last time to see if you did anything wrong. Okay, so now we're going to do the E's and the U's. Okay, E and is up. up, up. And that is it, I think. Okay, so we check it again. 1 E and down and down. Okay, 2 E and down up down up. 3 E and down up down. 4 E and down down up. Nothing here because the note is tied. That's very important. Up down E and, so this is 1 E and nothing is happening on 1 because of the tied note. E is up and is down. Down on 2 E and up on the nothing on 3 because it's a tied note. 3 E and okay, 2 eighth notes is always going to be, eighth notes are going to be down unless it's this one that comes in the center in between the 2 eighth notes. Okay, and then down on the last quarter note for E and okay, so one of the goals of this class is that you be able to study music independently after the class is over. Okay, and you know, depending on how complicated the song is, you know, you should be able to at least tackle simple songs and you know, maybe intermediate type stuff, but actually, no matter how difficult it is, you can always, you know, play it at a certain speed. It may not be possible for you to reach a certain speed of playing the music for a very long time. That's the, you know, that's the thing, is it takes years in order to be able to play something that's complex at a very fast speed, right? The virtuosity factor, um, and but you should be able to do it at the slower speed and start practicing it. You can practice parts of a song that's complex, and that's what this these rules for counting and learning how to read tabs and music notation, is that no matter how difficult the song is, you could get the music and start working on it, and at least you would be able to play it at a slower speed. And then, you know, it might take a long time before you could speed it up, but you know, at least you could get started on that process. Okay, so that brings us to the second part of the lesson, which is online resources. So how do you find music? Okay, well, there's a lot of resources online. You can pretty much find most of the things that you're looking for, unless uh, it's really new, and then and then what you would have to do is just listen to the song and transcribe it, write down each note and chord note by note by note. Um, and really, if you want a music chart that is perfectly detailed, where every single note in the song is detailed and correct, the only way and the best way to do that is to be able to transcribe the music yourself, right? Which is, you have a recording, you listen to it, you write down the notes, you listen again and again, and that's a very painstaking process, but it can be very rewarding. You know, if you have a song that you really want to learn, all the charts that you found are not cutting it, they're not correct. So you have to make your own chart. Okay, and a lot of times you can save some of that time by finding someone's transcription that they've done and posted online, and then taking that and then making the corrections based on the transcription. Okay, but that is a skill. For example, I'm able to do that, okay, because I've been doing this for a really long time. I went to music school and got degrees in music, including a master's degree in jazz studies from a really good jazz studies program at the University of North Texas. So I've done a lot of transcription. You have to do a lot of transcription to get that degree in jazz studies. Um, so I'm able to do that, but it's a thing that I've practiced over the years, and I have that ability to as a trained musician, to listen to the song, write down the notes, and including having the extreme detail, right? So it's kind of like trying to solve a puzzle. Right? If you like puzzles, you might like the process of putting that all together, and then of course the fun part is, you know, being able to play the song and playing all the notes that you're hearing in the song at the end of that process. So really that is the best way, okay? And that's why we want to learn the scales, why the scales are so important, the chords, the basic chords, the music notation, okay? Because this begins your journey to being musically literate, okay? And if you practice your scales and play your scales and your chords on a daily basis, you are training your ear to hear what those scales and chords sound like. What does the major scale and the major chord sound like? What does the minor scale and the minor chord sound like? When I'm hearing the song, am I hearing notes from the major scale or from the minor scale? Am I hearing major and minor chords or dominant seventh chords or diminished chords? And yeah, what am I hearing? And that begins the process of that, and also gives you creative control, right? So once you have the song transcribed, you can change it and manipulate it and do what you want to do with the song, because maybe you don't want to play it exactly the same way. Maybe the world doesn't need one more rendition of the same thing again and again and again. Maybe you can like do your own creative take on the song, and in order to do that, you know, it helps to have the chart and to be able to write and rewrite. There's lots of programs out there for writing tabs and music digitally. The one I use is Guitar Pro. That's this program right here. See, Guitar Pro. Uh, this is a relatively inexpensive program. They have programs like Finale and Sibelius, and there's one for the Surface Pro where you can actually write the music on this tablet and then it digitizes it for you. I think, oh yeah, that's called Staff Pad, and that is quite an impressive program. Because you can actually like take the stylus and write the music on the tablet, and then as you go, it renders it into a digital format. But yeah, Guitar Pro is good, and there's a site. Uh, I'll show you the internet browser here and some sites that I use to find music. So here's the main site that I like a lot. I use this almost every day, and again, these are amateur uploaded things, so you can download but then you might have to go through and make some corrections, okay? Or sometimes, it can be pretty good, pretty close to accurate, okay? Of course, you can also buy books that have the songs in them. The problem there is that, uh, you're paying for a book of songs when really you might only be interested in learning like one or two of the songs in the book. Uh, for example, let's see. Uh, Such as a book like, um, you know, Aerosmith, Greatest Hits, and then, it's got all these songs in there, okay, and then tabs. And these are published. These are usually pretty good. There's ways of finding these um, online. Usually you can buy digital copies of these books also. Um, so that's a good source, is just the direct source of the published material. Okay. And this one, uh, you can find all kinds of music. Um, so I'm just doing this as an example because it had a picture of Ed, and why not search for his song? Okay, and you'll see there's like a million versions, right? So if I click on this one, what you'll see is uh, this is old school internet tabs where you make the tab using Microsoft Word or word processor, and you just make these lines and numbers. And these are not so great because there's a lot of information here missing, namely the rhythms. Where's the rhythms, right? But it's assuming that you're listening to the recording, and then all you need to know is the notes, okay? But better is if you keep scrolling down, you'll find this Guitar Pro. This is what we want, okay? Because then we can download this, we can look at the different versions to see which one is right. You know, this involves kind of playing a few different versions of the song and seeing which one sounds the most correct. They have comments down here. Sometimes if it's not good, then the comments, you can see the comments. And this one said they seem to like this arrangement of the song. So you can download the Guitar Pro tab for free. Okay, like I said, this is sort of like social media for musicians. If the artist does not want their music on the site, then they will send a letter to Ultimate Guitar, and then they'll take it down. So sometimes when you search for a song, and then it will say the artist has requested that this be removed from the site because the of course the artist owns the song, and if they don't want the music published, for example, if they have it published in a book that they're trying to sell, then they will request that it be taken down. And Ultimate Guitar, if they don't want to have a lawsuit from a huge company like Sony or something like that, then they will comply. So you've got tabs, okay. Guitar Pro gives you these options. You can just have the tablature displayed with the rhythm notation, like what we saw in Jake Shimabukuro Ichigo Ichie, and then you can choose to do it this way with the standard notation, uh, which is kind of the way I prefer to see the tabs. And then you can make changes to it, right? You can open the style sheet, and this is what I like to do, jazz style, and then take this off and apply, and then I make it look cool. I don't like this thing that says let ring on every single measure. You can just write that once and write let ring throughout instead of having what it was just saying. Just saying let ring throughout, and that just means you just let these notes ring as you change the chords. Okay, so, and then normally, you know, you'd play this and then see if it's good, and but then if you say, oh, this chord is wrong, this is a 2 and not a 0, then you can just change it, you know. Oh, this bass note is wrong, it's a 3 and not a 0. Okay, so that's a good way to find music, is with Ultimate Guitar. There's another thing you can do with this, which is you can subscribe, which I don't do that because I'm a trained musician and I can figure these things out. I can download something like that and then make all the corrections to it, and that's all that I really need. But you can subscribe to this Pro, and then let's do that search again. And then up here you have this, it says high quality official or pro, right? And this is what you get access to when you have this subscription. And I think it's pretty cheap. It's probably costs about as much as a Netflix subscription or something. And then you get access to these higher quality arrangements. The problem, I think, is that I don't think it allows you to view the tab, but may not allow you to get access to the Guitar Pro file or something like that. But I don't know. I haven't tried that. So you can try subscribing, and then that gives you apparently a more professional music chart rather than all of these amateur things that you see. You have to sort through all of this, and it takes time. There's like page 2 of perfect, and you can search for pretty much any song on here. Uh, if it's a new song, it's not there. It's not gonna be in a book like that Aerosmith book. Um, so, you have to go online and see who's done it. All right, there's another site. It's called Scribed. This is a good one. Um, let's try the same search. See what comes up. Now, I've subscribed to this intermittently. I don't have a current transcription, but this is what you're looking for, is the documents, and there's all kinds of PDFs here. There's piano music, there's like a chord thing with chords and words. It's trying to sell me the transcription. You get a 30-day free trial, so sometimes you can just use the free trial and try and download as much music as you can. But yeah, again, these are sort of like social media type uploads. You probably want to add the word tablature, and then you can try and see what comes up. There's nothing really coming up. Here's the tabs. I think this is going to be, yeah, these are the old school Microsoft Word tabs. But there's a lot of like good stuff on here that you'd be surprised that you can access. Like you can download entire books. I think I downloaded this Eric Clapton Unplugged, and I used my subscription to download. See, they have the entire book here. All right, Eric Clapton Unplugged guitar tabs. It's showing us a preview. At some point, yeah, it cuts us off. Yeah, but you can see this is like the entire book And so Scribed is a really good resource, and sometimes you can find uh, like really professional transcriptions. You see authentic transcriptions with notes and tablatures, notes and tablature, and a lot of times that is exactly what you want because there's not going to be anything on Ultimate Guitar that's better than what's in the published book. Um, Now, you will also find mistakes in these published charts too, and you can kind of correct them with your pencil as you go. There's no, there's not going to be very much music that's like perfect, and there's going to be typos and things that are not quite right, even when you pay for the music. Okay, and then there's these types of sites. This is called musicnotes.com and Sheet Music Plus, and you can find like a lot of music here. I mean, um, it's basically like having access to the library of like every published music that they have. Um, Scribed also has a thing where you can just view the sheet music. The only way to download it is to screenshot it. Um, so they so they have like a lot of books that you can just read on Scribed. Somehow they have the rights to put that on their site. This one you pay for each song that you want to download. So like Blackbird, tablature. Well, you can just type in Blackbird on this site. And then you have this thing, yep, guitar tab, lead sheet, piano, and if you click on this one, this is what the piano vocal guitar chart looks like. It's got the piano part, the guitar chord symbols, and the lyrics and the melody. Okay, not really what we want. Okay, we want like guitar or ukulele. Okay, so guitar tab. Then we have this. Dun, 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 and this is okay. So, and then price $5.79. Okay, if you want to download the PDF, you have to pay $3 more. This $5.79 gives you one print. Okay, but if you want to download a PDF, it costs more. So you could spend a lot of money on this site, um, just buying songs one by one by one. Here's another site, Songster. This one you can download it if you subscribe. If not, you can just view the music. This is a good one that works well, like with the iPad, because you can just search on this and view stuff on your iPad, um, and learn the songs just on your screen. You can select different instruments here. Sometimes they have different parts of the song. Okay, Songster. All right, here's another site, okay, called Sound Slice. And this one is pretty nice for all different kinds of instruments. This is another site you have to subscribe to. But let me show you kind of what this site does. Uh, so I've got a Google search. I'm searching for a song on Google, but I'm adding the search term Sound Slice to it. And this is a way you can find stuff on this site without subscribing, paying for the subscription. And if it's on Sound Slice, it will pop up like this, okay? And it's worth it sometimes to try all these different places, because you can find some pretty cool stuff like this. So what this is you've got the tabs and the rhythms for this song, and then here's the uploader is also playing the song in the video. You can make the video bigger or smaller depending on which one you want to see, and then you can press play here and this plays the song. And it just plays through the music. This is a good way to study music on your screen. I can do that again and turn the volume off. Oh, volume. Yes, I can do that. And then it just shows the tab, so I can play along without hearing the music, or I can put the music back on. I can also get rid of this and make this bigger so I can see the music better. I can loop different parts of the song if I want to work on just one different thing there. Where's the beginning of the song? Yeah. And then you can try playing along. Okay, and then you can also change the speed. Right, where's the beginning? Yeah, here's the speed, I think, yeah. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening on SoundSlice. Alright, and it's like it has all these features, right? You can control the volume, the speed, you can loop things, and you can see the tabs being played along with the song. And I found some pretty cool stuff on there. Alright, and then the last thing is YouTube. Alright, and then so of course you can find music, but then you can do these searches like how to play. Okay, and actually there's a lot of cool stuff on this where you know, the lessons, I'm not sure the quality because you know anyone can post on YouTube, so it's another thing where you'd have to search and sort through a lot of stuff. But these are pretty cool. It can be it can be cool where they show the tabs along with the arrangement. Okay, and there's a lot of stuff like this. So here's someone's made their own arrangement of the song with the melody and everything, and showing the tabs and a close-up of them playing it. This is pretty nice. High degree of difficulty there with the thumb tapping and the fingerstyle arrangement. Okay, and there's so many of these, and a lot of them are really good. Okay, let's see how to play. While my ukulele gently weeps. Let's see what they have here. Okay, here's a tutorial. I'm looking for tabs. Okay, here's a one with tabs, it looks like. So it's got the tabs. But it has the MIDI sounds for the ukulele, which is not so great. But it shows the tabs and plays them. So you can study it. what you're hearing on here uh, is kind of like that. But like I said, you can sort through these things and you can find some pretty cool stuff. Oh, there's my video. It's probably showing me that because it knows who I am. Let's see, what would be how to play Is Over the Rainbow. See if they have one for that. Yeah, there's a lot of like chord diagram type stuff. I was looking more for tabs. This one looks like a whole lesson about that. But yes, YouTube has a lot of good things for trying to learn a song. If you're trying to learn a song and you need help, some of those can be really good, especially like when you see the tab, but then you also see the person playing it, so you can see the instrument, you can see the finger placement, you can see the technique, and see the tab all at the same time. That can be pretty cool. And then a lot of those sites, a lot of those videos on YouTube, if you look at the sort of more information, they have some things that they're selling as well. So like if you go on their Patreon site, you can download like more tabs and more instructional videos and things like that. So that's a lesson. That concludes our music literacy lessons. Of course, every lesson is about music literacy to some extent because we're playing songs and learning the songs. But as far as the lessons about preparing for the exams and reading and writing music on paper and diagramming music on paper, this is the final lesson about that for the class. But I just want to reiterate the goal here is for you, after the class is over, to continue your study of this instrument. And in order to do that, you have to be resourceful, so know what apps and websites can help you with all of that, which there's an enormous amount of things out there where you can study on your own. Okay. And then when you reach the point where you feel like you want to get much more serious, then you can try and find another class or another private lessons instructor or something like that if you decide you want to get even more serious. But as far as just I want to go and learn this song and then that song, you can do a lot of that on your own, and study music on your own and do what you want with it, and hopefully at some point develop the ability to play it proficiently, to learn the songs quickly, to transcribe them, to make corrections to them using the Guitar Pro software or other software. And it can be really, really enjoyable for just about anyone who wants to do it. Okay, and that's it for today's lesson. I will see you in the next video. Mahalo.